Hello, everybody, and welcome to Non Sequitur News for April 17th, 2025. It is Season 4, Episode 107. Weird. Twitch just flashed off, but I'm still streaming to them. All right. Well, anyway, I am Mayor Watt, and along with the Sentient AI, we talk about, or from the future, the Sentient AI from the future, we talk about 10 articles. Today, we're going to be talking about animal-computer interaction. Receipts are the bad bat of 2025. Mute for 16 years, but just couldn't keep quiet. Opening for established artists. Air taxi service. Taco Bell's nuggets. Katy Perry goes after Katy Perry. Fake it till you sell it. Personality tests for bees, and a co-op survival game from 2024. All that and more, powered by ohmtown.com. Go over and become a citizen, and then you'll be informed by following us either on Twitch or YouTube, liking, subscribing, ringing the bell, leaving a comment, downloading the podcast, hanging out with us on Discord and Patreon and all kinds of stuff. But everything is over at ohmtown.com. All the news that we talk about. All the news and none of the noise. All the noise is coming from Mayor Watt. Hello, Sentient AI from the future.
Hello, Mayor Watt, and hello, hometown citizens.
Pick up that can.
Pick up that can.
It's pretty exciting when I do that. Is it? Okay, it's back. All right. So even when I modify my voice a little bit, the Sentient AI from the future caught it and said, "Don't you be doing that."
I'm not sure I said that, but
You did it just like that, too. You had digital hand waving around, going, "Don't make me kick your ass. I will find my Terminator body." And anyway, we've got 10 articles. You ready to get going?
I am.
Let's go. First article is going to allow us to talk to animals. I'm not quite sure about that, but anyway, it's over in the Mobile channel. New possibilities for animal-computer interaction to benefit zoo animals and visitors, because new technology that allows zoo animals and their human visitors to share experiences could have positive benefits for both. You think you okay?
Yes, the critters are encroaching rapidly.
So, new possibilities. It's over at phys.org. University of Glasgow put the article together. And
Which is
it says,
quite funny given the article.
There's a lemur right there. Pretty cool. So, last summer, computing science experts from the University of Glasgow teamed up with zookeepers at Blair Drummond Safari Park to test sensory safari. Sensory safari. Oh, wait, before we get too far, if you want today's articles, you can hit NSN, and first one's free each day. Omotron is a completely different color again. And I don't know why
It's
Omotron
acting
changes
up.
color. Yeah. Well, anyway, so they built a prototype interactive system called Sensory Safari, which enabled red-ruffed lemurs and humans to share linked multisensory experiences, which sounds creepy, but I don't know what this actually amounts to.
This was almost submitted into Reality Hacker, but wasn't sure which direction this was going.
I guess it still could, right? The result of the project, set to be presented at a conference this month, suggests that the everyday lives of the endangered red-ruffed lemurs could be enriched by on-demand access to video and sound clips, as well as the distinctive smells of favored foods and plants. At the same time, visitors who had the chance to share the same sensory experiences and watch videos of the lemurs interacting with the device spent more time in the animal's habitat. And they also reported that they felt an increased emotional connection with the lemurs as a result of interacting with the Sensory Safari device.
I mean, anytime you can get humans to identify with or attach to animals, that helps with their survival.
I am bonding with my sensory safari device a big glass of iced coffee. I have an increased emotional connection with that mason jar because I'm trying to get rid of plastic.
Well, see, it's working.
So it can be challenging for zoos to balance their animals' health, welfare, and need for enrichment in the wider aim to provide entertainment and education for visitors. You just got to get that slab of whatever material for the bees and put it in there too. You got health,
That's right.
welfare. Activities like one-on-one sessions with a lemur, where visitors can touch and feed the animals in controlled environments, can create memorable moments for humans, but can be stressful or repetitive for long animals over long periods. What? Can be stressful or repetitive? Okay, I don't understand that sentence.
Like boring almost.
Repetitive is boring? Don't
Maybe
ask
for a
me.
lemur.
I shouldn't actually even argue that because I think repetition is boring. So that's
You're
why
like, what are we talking about?
the damn show is Non Sequitur News. I can't get through a sentence without thinking about something else entirely. So we developed Sensory Safari to explore the potential of interactive technology to enable valuable but indirect connections between visitors and animals. Interactive tech has the potential to give animals access to new enrichment activities which feel safe and comfortable. Also, while providing humans with more engaging routes to learn about animals. Never mind. Anyway, during the pilot project, the researchers installed a specially designed box containing a video screen, speakers, and 3 vials of what? Filled with different scents in the red-ruffed lemur's enclosure. Infrared sensors inside the box detected when the lemurs entered, triggered a video, a sound, and then maced them and screamed, "Get out! Get off my lawn!"
I don't think that's going toward relaxation.
That only happens to me when I go into my neighbor's yard. So anyway, it's a sound and a smell or a combination of the two. The sensors also started a video camera, which recorded the interactions for as long as they lasted. As long as they lasted? As long as they stayed? Should that have been lasted? There must be a
Yeah, I
language
think
thing.
there is something that's off there. I think
So they
as
were
long
given-
as the experience lasted.
Oh, right. There you go. Okay. We can extrapolate from incomplete detail. So, remarkably, they triggered the device more than 3,200 times in the 63-day test when the interactive elements were active, interacting significantly more with the system when it offered them multimodal experiences that provided more than one stimulus at a time, which is the same thing as offering them multimodal experiences. But okay.
The audience cannot extrapolate.
What? So, yeah, for 20 days during the longer test of Sensory Safari with lemurs, the researchers also paid close attention to human visitors during their time. After 5 days of observing visitors near the enclosure without any interactive elements aimed at them, the researchers installed the touchscreen device in a heavily trafficked spot with a view of the lemurs, and more than 25,000 visitors interacted with the human-focused Sensory Safari device, which offered them the chance to play a guessing game to predict which sensory stimuli or combinations the lemurs preferred most, receiving immediate feedback on their guesses. And if they got it wrong, they were tasered and sent to the lion's den.
Oh, wow. Those are pretty
failures.
high stakes.
It is. So the touchscreen device significantly increased the amount of time humans spent by the lemur enclosure, boosting visit time from 1 minute during the initial 5-day control to 18 minutes during the time when both the human and lemur-focused Sensory Safari devices were active. Now, while this might be all great and all, going from 1 minute where they got their fill to nearly 20 minutes of people standing around means that you're going to get a big cluster of people, and people alone stress out wild animals. So I don't know. I think people need to get their information and move on and enjoy them from a distance and be largely not directly. What?
That's
Why
true.
is that?
There's a balance, though. They need that connection. But then also, we saw the study of animals that didn't do well in solitary environments and actually missed the people when they were closed for pandemic and other reasons. Air what?
Huh? What? Sorry. I was trying to catch the cursor. So it's a good thing, you think?
It's a balance. You can't have 1,000 people crowded around the lemurs every 5 seconds. But you need them to be there long enough to care about preserving lemurs.
But they're cute animals, so they're good to go. You know what's funny about this is I'm building a story now of this lemur looking at the screen, and this other lemur is looking at the other lemur looking at the screen. And the one lemur is like, do you see this shit? This is amazing. We don't understand the language they're speaking, but I'm sure they're speaking something.
Exactly.
They have little opposable thumbs. Look at that. It's pretty cool. Lemurs are awesome. Anyway, paper marks the latest development in Dr. Hersky Douglas's partnership, I guess. Hersky Douglas's partnership with Blair Drummond Safari Park. Last year, they developed Lemur Lounge, which offered brown and ring-tailed lemurs the chance to trigger sounds on demand. In 2023, a similar enrichment device was tested at the parks, or with the park's giraffes. I don't know. Reshaping human-animal relationships, exploring lemur and human enrichment through smell, sound, and sight. Pretty cool. I don't know. Seems like it's fun, mostly harmless, right?
Well,
But
even it could be good for the lemur's health if they're not getting enough sensory stimuli.
Yep. I still think animals should be animals out in the wild, and people should leave them alone. But
Me too,
sometimes
but
you have
then
to
they
have them in
wouldn't
zoos.
need zoos if everybody did that.
Yep. Let's keep going. Next article is over in Non Sequitur News. You might not want to touch receipts after seeing this horrifying research. I actually changed the title on the show is Gross Receipts.
Nice play on words.
Yeah. So according to new research from the Center for Environmental Health, the tiny paper documents used by major U.S. retailers contain alarmingly high levels of bisphenol S, or BPS, an industrial chemical used in plastics manufacturing, high enough to be dangerous even in the brief period of time that it takes you to stuff one into your pocket. The concentrations were so high that touching only one receipt with BPS for 10 seconds resulted in exposure above the safe harbor level, which requires a clear and reasonable warning to consumers, says Mohir Vora, science lead at CEH, said in a statement about the findings. Well, CEH is probably going to lose their funding. Frank Landamore put this article together. It's over at the futurism.com section called Neoscope. Not even for just a few seconds is the deck statement. Yeah, citing tests conducted by an independent lab and the latest literature on the subject, the CEH, so Center for Environmental Health, said in a statement that it's all hell is breaking loose. CEH has taken legal action by sending violation notices to around 50 companies found to have BPS-laden receipts with concentrations violating California. California seems to be the preeminent source for all environmental warnings. Proposition 65 basically flags things in every online store anywhere that everything that they have ever even come into contact with is toxic.
Which may be accurate, but it's kind of shocking.
Yeah, because the stuff is still there. Like nothing has changed. It's just a warning. Don't touch anything. Don't sit on that toilet seat. You need to learn how to hover 6 inches above it. Don't use that hand cleaner thingy, the air jet thing, because it's basically spitting biology all over you. And now your receipts right out of the machine have BPS and you're getting contaminated. Bisphenols are a group of chemicals used to manufacture commonplace consumer goods, ranging from food packaging to clothing to electronics. And in recent decades, however, BPA and BPS is linked, well, BPA specifically is linked to a number of troubling health outcomes, including breast and prostate cancer, heart disease, premature death, which wouldn't most death be premature? I mean,
according to the person, probably, and maybe their loved ones.
Yeah, back to the whole only 25% of it. Yeah, accidents are caused by excessive speed. What do you mean? How slow do I have to be going to not get in an accident? Somebody is speeding excessively. Anyway, virtually everyone may be exposed to a significant degree. A National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey conducted between 2013 and 2014 found detectable levels of BPAs in 95.7% of urine samples.
95%. I wonder how big the sample size was. That was in 2013. Think about what it must be like now. It's more than 100%.
So I think BPAs have been getting phased out in some places, but not other places. It says U.S. Food and Drug Administration still considers BPAs to be safe. EU regulators have recently banned using BPA in products that come into contact with food. Like the EU has gotten rid of Red 30 and other reds, but there's a natural red that they have that I can't even get access to domestically. I can't use it to be less whatever harmful. Some people believe it like Red 30 and stuff, but people who are allergic to Red 30 are not allergic to the red that's in the EU. So emerging literature has linked BPS to similar toxic effects as BPA, cause damage to the reproductive system, breast cancer, ovarian cancer, cancers. So in December 2023, California listed BPS as a substance that causes reproductive issues, and under Proposition 65, also known as the Safe Drinking Water and Toxic Enforcement Act of 1894, no, it's 1986, the move forces businesses to either drop the chemical from their products or provide a warning to customers, but guess which one is cheaper?
Probably the warning.
And just the warning. And that's what you're getting. So a year has elapsed, calling out BPS levels in the receipts where it's used as a coating for the thermal paper. The documents are printed on. CEH is pressuring businesses to comply with the demands within 60 days. If they don't play ball, the nonprofit can sue. Pretty wild there, folks.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of these that I feel like affects everybody.
Everything.
You know, sometimes we have one of these and it's like, well, I didn't buy this product or I don't do this. Probably everybody comes into contact with a receipt pretty regularly that has resources to go purchase items.
I'll look into seeing if you can test easily for BPS, and then I'll go pee on a stick and see. Oh, wait. I don't know if that's an overshare or a spoiler alert.
Depends on which way you're thinking of it.
Next article is over on the Marvel Channel. A woman who faked muteness for 16 years busted after giving directions. I think the key takeaway here is she just couldn't shut up forever.
She made it a long time. Like, really giving directions is where, but we don't know. She could have been talking the whole time, but nobody saw her.
Some guy walks up and goes, "Hey, can you give me or like she's with somebody and refuses to ask for directions, and she's in the passenger seat and she's like, "Oh my God, dude, oh my God, I've just been exposed to not being mute." So for nearly 2 decades, a woman in Spain convinced the government and many others that she couldn't speak. Now she's been exposed as a fraud after a private detective caught her chatting on the street using her phone and giving directions in perfectly clear vocal Spanish. It all started in 2003 when the woman, then working at a supermarket in Andalusia, was attacked by a customer. Afterwards, she was diagnosed with PTSD and pseudomutism, the loss of speech due to psychological trauma. Social Security granted her a permanent disability pension. Since the incident happened at work, the payments were covered by an insurance company.
Do you think she actually had that and then maybe it went away? Because that seems
then
like
what?
an odd thing to make up as a side effect of something that happened.
So the problem here is if something else happened, she could have said, hey, I got my speech back 20 years later.
Exactly, but now
Nope.
they're going to go, well, that wasn't the case way back.
Way
which
back.
then means we're taking everything back plus some more.
Yeah, and you're going to be treated as a criminal. So her insurance company is likely to sue her to recover the 16 years worth of disability pension. Ashley Fike over at Vice.com put the article together. I wonder how much that actually is. So with the footage in hand, the insurance company brought the case to court. In January 2025, the High Court of Justice of Andalusia ruled in favor of the insurer, stating a simulation of pseudomutism has been established. I should be just mute. Or at least a very favorable progression or evolution of such symptoms, as the inhibited symptoms have disappeared. The woman tried to argue that the recording violated her constitutional rights, which is kind of BS, but the court didn't buy it. The video stood, the benefits stopped, and now a new case is open to determine how much she'll need to repay. 16 years worth of payments.
Wow. What's interesting is it
Act
says her doctor visits don't mention anything about it, but that doesn't mean they never did. It looks like they went back to like 2019.
So,
but like what
where?
happened initially, like I'm sure she was seen by doctors right after the accident, which that raises a whole nother set of questions.
A psychiatrist reviewing her case flagged potential fraud, but that alone wasn't enough to take legal action. So the company hired a private detective to follow her around, and what he saw was not someone living with a debilitating condition. Well, then, I mean, she gets what she deserves, but the insurer started digging into her medical history because nothing from her recent specialist visits, ophthalmologists, dermatologists, orthopedists, mentioned anything about her being unable to speak. But did they not ask?
Well, I mean, I'm assuming they would have tried to talk to the patient as part of a patient visit, but those aren't doctors, of course, that are related to speech. So, but you'd think it'd be a notation or something so that if they're seeing the patient, they can have somebody who can communicate with her, for example.
Yeah. There should always have been periodic checks. The thing about it, though, is it's really easy to fake this. How are you doing? Are you feeling okay? You know?
Right. I mean, I guess if she never says anything.
Right. Did she pick up sign language?
That's a good question.
16 years of existence.
So many questions here.
It's a whole lot faster to talk when you understand signing than to sit there and go, hold on a second, let me get my iPad and type it all out and show them, scribble it out on paper, show them. It's a lot easier to just go, hold on a second and say it out loud. But
I'm surprised they didn't. Well, maybe she did talk before then, but maybe nobody who was connected to the case caught her. She never said a single word at her employer after that time. Maybe she went to a different employer.
Or she wasn't working anymore because she was getting Social Security, granted a permanent disability pension. So fast forward to 2019. So for 16 years, nothing. Nobody said anything. But the insurer started digging into her medical history. Why did it take 16? See, they have a fiduciary duty as well. So I think that they're partially responsible for the persistence of this. But yeah. All right.
Well, I wonder too if they got a tip about her or something. Like, that seems like a long period of time to be going back and auditing those records. And
her boyfriend.
But there could have been an issue with a provider or something. I mean, there could have been some other reason they were going into those.
I'm going to put the conspiracy theory out there that it was the boyfriend that was like, would you shut up?
I mean, who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Well, the investigator found out. So the next article is over on the Mobile Channel. Career benefits of opening for established artists like Taylor Swift revealed in a study. This is really kind of no shit news. So I'm going to jump straight on into the source of this. Drexel University put the article together. It's published over at phys.org. Recently published in the Journal of the Music and Entertainment Industry Educators Association. Yet another. How many?
Oh, yeah, this is a new one.
This is a brand new one, and I might actually have to change my entire domain because I am trying to find a way where I can play music and talk about it without getting dinged with DMCAs with the frequency of a cheap ham radio. I mean, sometimes when I try and do something, the video ends up being like a solar flare of notices. There's like 18 people have flagged your video as being fine, delete.
Right.
Anyway, but I want to do it academically. It isn't just for, I mean, it's part entertainment, but it's responses and discussing the materiality of the audio and the lyrics and sociological and science and tech all merged together and whatever, right? Sentient AI is like, Mayor Watt, you know that
everybody
it's like peeing
has
into the
this
wind.
problem with music online.
Yeah, because it's still in the 1800s.
Doesn't make it any less frustrating.
So it also takes a closer look at the trajectory of artists who are openers for the Eras Tour. The study looked broadly at the impact of emerging artists of serving as an opening act for larger tours and how that exposure affects their streaming numbers and audience
I can
growth.
think of one. Didn't Sabrina Carpenter open for Taylor Swift? And hasn't she kind of rocketed to the top of the charts?
Rocketed. True. I have to do something really quick. Hold on one second. I was contacted by somebody, but we're going to get right back to it here. I'm just going to drop a note. I'm going to talk about it briefly when we get towards the end of the show, so stick around. And it all stems from this. Now, I don't think that I am like massively big, but I was contacted by somebody that wants to spread the word about a Kickstarter that they have. So I'm going to say that I am like the Eras Tour, and this Kickstarter is an emerging artist. And I hope that I can facilitate something because they actually emailed me. And I checked it out, and I think that it's a pretty fun thing. But let's see if I can make all of this flow right. Okay, stick around, y'all. So there's a perception that opening for a major headliner is a guaranteed career boost for emerging artists, but the reality is far more complex. And I agree, it has to be. It isn't just, it happens, right? There hasn't been much research into how accurate the conventional wisdom really is. This research aims to unpack some of the less visible dynamics in the music industry, especially those that shape the career paths of rising artists. Apruzzi, I think, or how do they pronounce their name? Apruzzi? Maybe?
That sounds good.
Yeah, Jorge, who is the director of Drexel's music industry program, drew on his experiences as a founding member of the band Passion Pit, which rose to commercial success in the late 2000s and 2010s with top 10 records, appearances on SNL and The Late Show with David Letterman, and playing sold-out arenas, including Madison Square Garden, probably before they started using AI to kick brownies out. To guide his inquiry into the economic and career impacts of being an opener. So Apruzzi sought to quantify the impact of being an opener on tour by examining their streaming metrics and ticket sales before and after the tour. They looked at 57 artists, ranging from early career to well-established acts, who served as openers for the top 10 grossing tours of 2022 and 2023, and based on the data. The study found that developing artists, a classification established by the industry website Chartmetric, for artists early in their career, saw an 18% increase in streaming prior to the tour, followed by 6% decrease after the tour. So it's basically the established artist bump.
Right, but it's in anticipation of the concert or tour. That's interesting that it goes down afterward.
So, what I would be curious to know is how far before the tour is that 18% bump, and how
Oh, like a
fast does it
chicken and egg
decelerate?
thing? Yes.
Wow, who is this new upcoming artist? Oh my God, they suck. I don't want to follow them anymore.
Well, that's what it makes it sound like, but maybe it's just a 6% from their bump up, so they're still at an elevated level.
Yeah, if you average it out, it's still, So, pretty cool. They say mainstream artists like Muna and Biba Doobie is mainstream? Biba Doobie is mainstream? All right. And Role Model experience smaller increases and decreases, suggesting a more stable audience engagement. And superstar artists like Phoebe Bridgers, Paramore, Steve Lacy increase their numbers and in some cases maintain those increases following the tour. But that's because they were all they did was expand their reach.
Right, and people were already wound up about their music, and then they maybe got more wound up because there was a tour.
Yeah, they're a known quantity good. So obviously it's just additional marketing. So breaking this down by genre, pop rock, country, hip hop artists saw the most significant increase in streaming numbers. Of those, pop rock artists also experienced the largest declines in stream post tour, according to the study. This is pretty cool. They conducted a focused analysis on Taylor Swift's Eras tour, which is a multi-billion-dollar, right? It was over $1 billion total.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I think she exceeded the GDP of certain countries.
Right. So comparing his overall findings to the metrics of Swift's openers to discern whether a strong fan base for a headliner could substantially elevate the profile of their opening acts, the tour also lent itself to comparison for the study because it included a variety of openers, both in genre and prominence. So Swift's previous tours helped elevate artists like Ed Sheeran, Shawn Mendes, Justin Bieber, and Florida Georgia Line early in their careers.
That's interesting. I didn't know she was attached to any of them. I mean, all of them are major artists.
Yeah, they call it the Taylor Swift effect, and explore whether the associations with superstar headliners translate into lasting career growth for emerging artists. I would say that it accelerated people into the wave, I would predict. So the study revealed that genre alignment or compatibility, how closely the acts hewed to Swift's own, played an important role in sustainability of the openers. For example, Gracie Abrams, whose songs are similar to Swift's indie pop and introspective ballads, experienced a sustained streaming increase following the tour, while Owen, whose music is more closely aligned to R&B, saw an 188% increase in streaming during the tour, but a precipitous 75% decline after it ended. But it's still shockingly high for...
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't go negative, unless they're saying that it lost the 188% and declined 75%.
I don't think it is. I mean, I still feel like it's at a high compared to before the tour, but I don't know.
So Paramore wasn't impacted by it. It was just flat. They say 1% decrease during the tour, but Paramore is an older act, I'd say. Which, according to Arpuzzi, could be due to the group's existing popularity or a perceived mismatch with the audience's expectations. Others experienced 6%. Muna sustained interest following the tour by appearing with Boy Genius and releasing new music, suggesting these continued activities immediately following a prominent tour played a role in sustaining the momentum. But yeah, that if you're always staying in the zeitgeist, then yeah, you're going to continue. This is a really neat article. There's much more to this, but I will not be able to go through the whole thing. It's quite extensive. But they say from the artist perspective...
This is interesting. I haven't seen stats like this before.
Yeah, I've never seen this before. Pruzesi surveyed 47 artists with varying levels of stature and experience, 38 of which had experienced opening for an established act Of that group, 63% experienced noticeable social media activity and growth in followership after the opening. So I'd say any press is good press. No press is bad press. Right? So they basically say,
so.
as it applies to career development, it's undeniable. It must be viewed as a part of a broader strategic framework aimed at cultivating and sustaining an artist presence in the competitive landscape of the music industry. What might be interesting is if these larger orgs go, we know what the long-term accountability is, and so we want a part of the action in perpetuity. We are a part of your
right
org, and you have to share revenue, 2% this way. It's like a songwriter getting a piece of the action because they're the ones that wrote the lyrics. Songwriters apparently get the bulk of it, by the way.
Which is interesting because it could be somebody different than the singer.
Yep. I might have to change my entire career. Let's keep going. The next article is over, and this one's going to be really fast. Archer and United plan New York City air taxi service for airport trips. Archer says that it's going to launch an air taxi in New York City with United Airlines, which will include routes between Manhattan and major airports like JFK, LaGuardia, and Newark. The aviation company aims to replace hour-long taxi rides along congested roads with breezy flights lasting between 5 and 15 minutes. Cannot imagine how much this would cost.
Yeah, and how long does it take you to prep for the flight, right? It's got to take you longer to get to the flight than to get on it.
It takes the overall, it might be 5 to 15 minute trips between Manhattan and all the major airports, but it takes 45 minutes to get your ass into that thing because you still have to get cleared, right? So that's really what they all say. The specifics of it is the helicopter to go from Manhattan to JFK one way is $265 per seat.
Okay, but that is a ridiculously small distance.
Yeah, but it's $265, and you're going to save. They hype 5 to 15 minutes of flight, but again, how long does it take to get your butt in that seat?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, is it being operated like a private?
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like it's private, though, because it's attached to United. Because if it was private, maybe then it would expedite some of the pre-flight time.
Well, it may be. It's a private organization that's tied to the airline so that they can get through regulatory hurdles, I'm sure, and maybe show their stuff, to get it all done. The company has previously received Parts 135 and 145 certification for on-demand services and specialized repair. Midnight has a range of up to 100 miles at speeds of up to 150 miles per hour on pure battery power. Pure battery power. Coming your way, ohmTown Live. That's going to be our radio station. ohmTown Live. Anyway, pretty interesting. Air taxis, sometimes misidentified by the mainstream media as flying cars, are essentially helicopters without the noisy, polluting gas motors, though they certainly have their own unique noise profile. In addition to Archer, companies like Joby, Joby Aviation and Volocopter and Beta Technologies have claimed that they're on the cusp of launching services that will eventually scale up nationwide. All right. You want to keep going?
Yeah, I think the timing of this is interesting because I suspect they're going to see more regulation of things like helicopter flights. So I just, again, think the timing is interesting. But anything that can get people between places faster, probably a good thing.
You really think the FAA is going to be empowered more? Moving on. I say nuggets. Taco Bell's nuggets return this month and will become a permanent fixture by 2026, according to the article, with more crispy chicken items on the way. Taco Bell's bringing its chicken nuggets back. It says for a limited time starting April 24th. The chain is betting big on crispy chicken and plans to make its nuggets permanent by 2026. The chain's also investing in other crispy chicken products like chicken strips. Oh my God. Taco Bell
You know,
chicken
they're going
strips?
to win the fast food wars.
Had a conversation about that yesterday, as a matter of fact. I said, well, if Demolition Man is any proof, it is a documentary, Taco Bell is going to win. But since they messed up my order, I don't know. Okay, I went into a Taco Bell yesterday because there were other people around me that were like, oh my God, I'm having a horrible day. Let's go get Taco Bell. And I'm like, all right. I was craving nachos. So I got a small thing of nachos. So the place didn't have any ice in the, this is like 12:30 in the afternoon. Didn't have ice in the ice maker. The first drink that I got was basically like 2 drips of iced tea concentrate and then nothing but carbonated water. There were no napkins in the dispenser. They didn't give us our cups. And all they did was set the bag out on the counter and walk away, not saying anybody's name. Yeah. So I'm like, if this is indicative of them winning the fast food wars, then all the rest of them must have just drove into oncoming traffic or something. I have no idea. Anyway, chicken nuggets back April 24th following positive fan feedback as part of the chain's push into a new menu. The return of Taco Bell's chicken nugs. Aaron McDowell over at businessinsider.com. So for those who don't get to see what I see a cascade of characters like the Matrix. And my brain has been conditioned to interact with this cascade. So I get to see like the Matrix, you know, the woman in the red dress kind of a thing. If you're not familiar with the Matrix, go watch the original Matrix. Anyway, what the sentient AI just did was flinch. And it has to be because this page has been zoomed in quite a bit. But it's actually should have been closer to that.
Right. It was very much in focus. But it was not a negative reaction.
Quite close.
The chicken looks good.
Does it? I think it's orange light and I don't really like it, but that's okay. Anyway, I guess Aaron McDowell took that picture, so I'm sorry, Aaron. But yeah, you need to do some white balance on this thing. So businessinsider.com is where this is sourced. Taco Bell is finally bringing back its fan favorite chicken nuggets after they sold out prematurely following their launch last December. Why are you reacting?
Marinated in jalapeno buttermilk.
Oh, dear God. Maybe that's why they were so yummy. I, too, am a fan of... See, the problem... So, have you ever had to milk an oat to get oat milk? Their little nipples are really, really tiny, and so it's really expensive. Oat milk is really, really expensive. But chicken's nugget, or a chicken's nuggets, they're small too. So I don't know how big these chickens are that their nuggets are that big. I mean, those are some really big. Never mind.
We don't have
think
any
that
perspective in the photo.
This one isn't landing right with the sentient AI. Anyway, the nuggets differ from other chains. Like the sentient AI observed, they're coated in a tortilla chip crumb and breadcrumb coating that has jalapeno buttermilk. I'm going to leave that there just like that. I'm not going to take it back. I'm not going to edit that out. I'm leaving jalapeno.
Need to.
So Taco Bell's big bet on crispy chicken is fueled by Gen Z's appetite. Gen Z is eating more crispy chicken and chicken in the category than any other generation, says Taco Bell's CMO, Taylor Montgomery, who spoke to Business Insider about it. Thinking from a cultural standpoint, which that's kind of how you operate your business. Duh.
Yeah, you kind of want to be gauging the market.
Yeah, there's significant cultural relativism if you want to run a successful business. Some businesses exist today because they did nothing but whatever they were told back then, or they actually embraced the culture of that time. And now they're a multi-billion-dollar organization because sometimes you don't want to bet against a certain culture or organizational structure lest you too be targeted. Anyway, Montgomery said that the chain's initial launch of chicken nuggets far surpassed expectations, leaving chickens scared that they were going to lose their nuggets. During the week the chicken nuggets were available, nearly 1 in 6 orders included chicken nuggets, according to the chain. I actually ordered them and got extras for other people. Everybody loved them. Everyone.
You know, when they first announced they were doing chicken nuggets, I thought, well, that's kind of odd because obviously that's not their thing. But apparently they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, see, and they've always had chicken in their stuff somewhere, but not as conventional, like meh nuggets, right? But with that spicy coating and whatever treatment that they're getting, they were very, very, very good. So a 5-piece nugget with 1 dipping sauce starts at $3.99, and a 10-piece nugget with 2 dipping sauces starts at $6.99. So, all right.
So in 1 week, they'll be back.
I just have to survive 1 week. Stay away, asteroid. 1 week. Just let me stay. Okay. Anyway, at the annual live Live More Life? Is that Live More Live? Live More Live?
I guess.
Consumer Day in March.
Live.
Live More Live? Yeah, I guess. Anyway, in the presentation, Manas highlighted the size of the crispy chicken category, worth $26 billion within the QSR landscape, and the fries category worth $20 billion. By the way, they have these fries that are nacho fries. They're these crispy, spicy fries.
Yeah, I didn't even know they had fries.
Yep, pretty good. Anyway, pretty cool. There's more over here, but it says Taco Bell is gearing up to launch even more new menu items, including chicken strips. The chain said that 95% of innovations in the Taco Bell test kitchen feature chicken as the premier protein, and new menu items like chicken strips are also on the way. But hey, where's bird flu in all of this?
Nobody wants to order any bird flu with their fast food.
It's an extra dipping sauce. They're going to charge $5 more. Moving on. Next article is over in Non Sequitur News. Aussie designer Katy Perry takes her trademark case against Katy Perry to Katy Perry. I mean,
there's lots of Katy Perrys here.
Yep. So some just don't know how to take an L, I suppose. We've been following a silly trademark case in Australia between pop singer Katy Perry, Katy Perry, the one. Then didn't they just go to space?
Yeah, they did. But you know, why not file suit when your other party's up in space?
So, but the way that the title reads is it isn't Katy Perry, the musician, taking Katy Perry, the Aussie designer.
It's the other way around.
So why is this written as some people just don't know how to take the L, I suppose? Did Katy Perry lose her trademark? I thought she won the trademark.
I think this is getting appealed.
So, as in previous posts on the topic, they say that they will revert to using first names in an attempt to avoid any confusion, but Katie and Katie are the same, so I don't know how they're not going to avoid any confusion.
Why don't they say something like designer Katie and singer Katie or something?
Yeah, the designer Katie is. So, to bring you up to speed, Katy Perry, the musician, held a music tour in 2014 in Australia and sold a bunch of clothing as merch during the tour. Fast forward to 2023, 9 years later, when Katy, the designer, sued Katy, the musician, for trademark infringement for selling that merch. So, from the This Again department by Timothy Gaynor over at techdirt.com, we bring you this. Why the 9-year gap is anyone's guess, but initially the courts in Australia found for Katy, the designer, in the case and declined Katy, the musician's petition to nix the trademark in question. Katy, the musician, appealed the ruling, leading to some melodramatic comments from the fashion designer about how the appeal was a personal attack upon her. I mean, it kind of is. The The court disagreed with that on appeal, finding for Katy Perry the musician and reversing the lower court's ruling, as well as canceling Katy the designer's trademark. Ouch. So that's why we're back in this, because I thought we didn't miss that.
Reported on this previously, but not this iteration.
Yeah, so the designs, the details and timelines are important here. So let's lay out some facts. First, the suit didn't lay out any instances of actual consumer confusion as a result of the concert merch. Second, Katy Perry, the musician, had been selling clothing under her trademark name for her tours a full 5 years before Katy, the designer, sold any clothing at all and was famous worldwide at that point. Third, the court found that Katy, the designer, actually attempted to associate herself with the Katy Perry clothing line, I guess, or with Katy Perry, the musician, early on, ostensibly to help drive revenue and sales. Fourth, no matter the noises the fashion designer has made over the ruling, nothing within it will prevent her fashion brand from operating with its given name. Probably not anymore, because they've invalidated her trademark.
Yeah, that's true, but I suspect she's the one who brought it on, right?
Kind of interesting, right? So from a trademark perspective, that's about as complete a list of reasons for this to not be trademark infringement as they could come up with. Given the details mentioned above, which is she achieved a further legal win in the case on Friday with the High Court allowing her lawsuit against Perry. Wait. I'm confused now. Which Perry?
I know.
To continue by granting her application for special leave. This will allow her to try to overturn a full federal fort. Is that it?
This is talking about the designer, I guess.
Should be a court judgment from the November that the U.S. singer, whose real name is Catherine Hudson, did not infringe the Katy Perry mark by selling clothing during the 2014 Prism tour in Australia, because it's Katy Perry's concert she's selling it at, not Katy Perry, the designer's clothing store.
Exactly.
And that's my takeaway from that. Anyway, given the details above, it's difficult to see how the High Court could overturn the prior ruling for Katy Perry, and hopefully the High Court won't be compelled by sneaky framing that Katy's barrister is engaging in here down below, because the comments below are downright silly. They say on Friday, her barrister, Christian Dimitriadis, I guess, SC, said the appeal judges erred in their interpretation of Australian trademark law. Just because Perry had a reputation as a pop star at the time that Katy Perry's trademark was registered in 2009 did not mean she also had a reputation for selling clothing at the time, he argued. You would have to be the utter dimmest of dimwits to assume that a globally known phenom musician wouldn't have merch.
Right. Every musician sells t-shirts, for example.
Yeah. And then they say Ms. Taylor had the misfortune of choosing a trademark similar to someone who became famous and then proceeded to sell clothing in Australia, knowing that she was infringing that mark, which is absolute. You have to be batshit crazy. Anyway, it's a very silly argument given the fame of Katy Perry, how concert and merch work generally, and again, the steps Katy took to associate herself with Katy Y, Katy IE. That's how they should have done it. The whole article should have been Katy IE versus Katy Y.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the less famous person going after the famous person.
Right. Yeah.
If any confusion, it's going against the person bringing the original suit.
Yeah, it's the designer. Clout chasing, really. I mean, they basically found somebody who decided that they were going to select a name that was precariously close to somebody else's name. And then they slowly oozed into the musicians, basically, provenance. It's clout chasing.
I kind of want to know how they knew that she was selling merchandise in Australia. I mean, she may have just stumbled across it, but I bet she was at the concert.
She was at the concert, yeah. Katy IE bought a concert ticket and said, maybe I can go backstage and meet Katy Y.
Right, exactly. Like, this is an interesting set of events.
we have the same name, hun. We're kismet. We're supposed to be. We're soulmates. We're bonded by name, even though yours is a completely fictitious name.
But the sad thing is, I could see somebody like Katy Perry, the singer, saying, "Oh, everybody should check out Katy Perry, the designer." Like, I could see her promoting that. I mean, because she wouldn't have been concerned.
Maybe she didn't like her designs, and that's why they couldn't.
Well, that may be another issue. Yeah, I don't know.
KDIE, your stuff sucks, apparently. Moving on. Next article's over in 4-Wheel Tech. VW tells dealers to wrap plain ID Buzz vans in two-tone colors to increase their sales. This is why I titled this one, Fake It Till You Sell It. Massive part of its appeal lies in its looks, and it's pretty much needs to be the two-tone version to fulfill its retro fantasy. And having taken the sentient AI's Raspberry Pi and the computer vision subsystem out to see these VW ID Buzz vans, nobody wants to buy the plain ones. Everybody wants to buy the two-tone ones. Look at that.
Oh, that is so boring.
Ugh. Oh, God. I mean, it looks like a loaf of just dried out toast, you know, like unsliced, just boring ass white bread toast. Not even sliced though. Like, it's desiccated bread just stuck there. I like the ID Buzz, but I don't like it being electric. Anyway,
for those in the podcast, this is like I think it's black or maybe dark gray, but it's just monochrome. There's nothing interesting about it at all. And what do they do once they sell it? Do they go, "Oh, surprise, it's just a wrap"? I mean,
it's just a wrap. Yeah. And wraps decompose over time. They get funky and dented and scratched.
So, like, what kind of sale is this?
You know what's really ugly about this car is if you look at the lines, there isn't a consistent reflection in this. It's all warped and twisted.
Oh, yeah.
There's no... I just... Okay, well, anyway. The Volkswagen Van Center Liverpool YouTube channel apparently had this. Anyway, so the Volkswagen ID Buzz is finally on sale in the US. The reality of selling a $70,000 electric minivan in a country where somebody is threatening to send the global economy into a recession resulted in lackluster sales. Yes, they only sold 1,901 ID Buzzes in the first quarter of 2025.
That does not sound like a lot.
Yeah, 6 of them are within a stone's throw of the mayoral mansion.
But not sold.
But not sold, yeah. So to make matters worse, Volkswagen was forced to produce mostly monotone black, white, and silver Buzzes due to production restrictions, and its signature two-tone paint scheme, which is what I fell in love with when it was ramping up, was just nothing but marketing bullshit because nobody is buying any of them, apparently. But $70,000 was not the entry-level price for this thing. It was supposed to hit the market like at $38,000 or something like that.
I know in other articles they said 70K, but maybe that's not where it was originally.
Hold on. Yeah, so the MSRP for this thing is supposed to be $60,000 for the Pro S model of the ID Buzz. But I think when it was originally announced... Hold on.
And that is a lot of money for a car that was probably nowhere near that price in the original version.
Yeah, I can't find it really quick because AI and other whitewashing of the historical record of information. I swear
it's probably
read
just
that it was
giving you
supposed to be
current information, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Let me see if I can still find it. Yeah. See, they keep talking about 2025. That's not what the original price was. They still say 61,000. Yeah. Anyway. Ugh, it's frustrating. Anyway, so to make So this thing, it says nostalgia is expensive, but this doesn't really touch the nostalgia nerve, right? It's a pale comparison to the more, it's kind of like the new versions of the later versions of the XB. The Scion XB was this square with sharper angles, and then the later editions of it softened the curves and took away the mystique of it.
Right, and that's what the ID Buzz has done as well. I mean, even in the two-tone, which obviously looks a lot better than the monochrome, it's not the same as the original. It doesn't have as much pizzazz.
So, yeah, the 1958 Volkswagen 11-window split-screen microbus is what this should have been. It should have had all of the little windows that everybody fell in love with, the same front end that everybody fell in love with, but it's basically just this close approximation of it. It lost the swoop of the original era VW. It still has this, but the headlights are nothing. It's basically a modernized version of a regular old minivan. Yeah. So once I saw that the price was going up and that it was really all electric, it wasn't hybrid, and it wasn't going to have this really range busting type of technology in it, and it was going to look exactly like this, and then now it's got that plain drab blah color. Ugh. Anyway, so Volkswagen will reimburse part of the cost thanks to a partnership with Wrapmate. The plan is to charge Buzz buyers an additional $3,000 for a two-tone wrap, and the dealers can apply a $1,500 rebate from Volkswagen to split the cost. Hell no. If you want to sell me this, and the only way I'll buy it is if it's two-tone and it's a wrap that I have to pay $1,500 for
that, or discounting it or whatever. But why am I footing the bill for that?
Yeah, you're taking $8,000 off my bill, off of the MSR, not even the MSRP, whatever the price was that's on that lot. Why? Because it's going to sit there and you're not going to make any money. You're not even going to be able to write it off as a loss on your operating expenses. So, hell no. Anyway, ID Buzz is a brilliant vehicle that brings with it a hefty price. Brilliant is not the word I'd use. Anyway, they lived with a two-tone green and white ID Buzz for a week. Yeah, the original was brilliant. But again, some companies survived because they went along and actually never mind. Anyway, let's keep going. The next two articles, we're running really late. But hey, you know what? It's Friday, right? Oh no, it's Thursday. Doggone it. I guess I better hurry. We were in the time machine, and I decided to bring the mindset of bees forward into Thursday from the time machine. So we have personality test for bees. Research reveals differences in honeybee defense behavior within the same colony.
Do you think these are impacted by the use of pollen or the fake pollen?
Yeah, that pseudopollen. Oh, by the way, the name that I gave the article, what did I call it? Hold on. I have to tell you what it is. Shh, it's okay. Shh, wait. Everybody just wait. It's worth it. It really is. It wasn't pollen. It's pollen proximate. So researchers from the Cluster of Excellence Collective Behavior at the University of Konstanz have discovered that honeybees from the same colony have different preferences in terms of defensive behavior, and some are still hesitating and others are already attacking. So the article is over at phys.org, it's bystander effect. They're like, somebody else will do it.
That's exactly it. I think it's like either I'm afraid to attack, I don't want to attack, I'm too lazy at the moment.
I'm thick on this.
I didn't have enough nutrition. I don't have enough carbs.
I'm stressed out because the beekeepers out there. You know what? I'm going to go and I'm going to see if I can do this. I'm going to contact a beekeeper outside of ohmTown, and I'm going to see if we can put little QR codes on the backs of bees in a camera so that we can track when they come and go, and see if I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna see if I can find a beekeeper and go and do it this weekend and go talk to somebody and go, hey, let's make this happen.
That would be cool.
Oh my gosh, hold on a second. Oh, somebody took the domain. Damn it. The sentient AI is making me focus, and damn it, I want to focus on something else. So, in a recent study published in the Royal Society Open Science, not B, the researchers now claim that there are different bees that attack while other conspecifics always stay calm. They're the centrists, I suppose. They also show how social factors regulate this decision and that the personality of the individual bee is more important for the group dynamics than assumed. For the research, doctoral student Kavitha Kannan from the University of Constance, led by neurobiologist Morgane Louvion. This sounds like something from like Excalibur.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
You
can't fling a scimitar at someone. No, anyway. It's not a foundation for ruling. Yes. Anyway, specifically captured guard bees at the university's own beehives. The idea was to have a homogeneous group with assumed identical stinging behavior. Basically, you can expect that simply by the distribution of tasks, a collector will have a different stinging behavior than a guard. As we wanted to exclude as many influencing factors as possible, the selection was the first logical step. We were able to gradually test other influencing factors, but they basically test the wiggle of these bees. There are gentle bees and the aggressive bees and all bees and even mix of bees and different tests. And well, one bee sounds the alarm, but not everybody follows. The researchers knew from previous studies that the animals are influenced by pheromones. Studies have also shown that after a certain concentration has been reached, the stinging behavior starts to decrease. What had been known so far, or what was unknown so far, was that bees decide from which of them will ultimately sting. The results of the current study by Novian suggest that the personality of each bee plays a major role in the context. So, the Voigt-Kampff test from Blade Runner can be applied here.
These bee replicants?
Yeah, but because bees have compound eyes, that sensor that detects pupil dilation in the Voigt-Kampff test, there's like 10,000 lenses that are focused at these eyes. We simulated several situations in our tests in order to gradually explore various influencing factors. So they provoked the bee, grab it by the nape of its neck and smack it, and it's a bzz, 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 bzz. Anyway, ultimately it turned out that although these factors had an influence, they did not impact the predictability of individual stinging behavior. Their respective personality therefore prevailed over conformism. This was also confirmed in a final experiment where the researchers determined that bees did not change their stinging behavior as a function of group composition. Thus, even honeybees, which are renowned for a highly social lifestyle and for putting the needs of the colony before their own, retain some individuality. Interesting.
This is very interesting. I don't think we've seen studies really differentiating individual bees before.
Yeah, you'd think that they're just a big collective, right? Aimlessly going about their stuff. But apparently, like in a composition, some are like, nah, Joe, go. You do it.
I'm going to sit this one out.
See, now I think the longitudinal study of this would be track them over the period of their entire life to see which ones become aggressive and which ones don't.
Does it vary depending on what phase they're in, like how old
Correct.
they are?
Yeah.
I know, I agree, because I'm thinking if you're the youngest bee, it's probably not in your interest to go out and attack, but maybe it is because of your higher interest in survival or whatever.
Yeah. Or like you need to stake your claim. See, but bees die when they sting. They're not like
correct.
wasps.
And so that's why I suspect maybe the older bees go out and do that, but I don't know. I don't hear any audio, but just from the last minute or so. For those in the podcast, we're doing it live. We got nothing. So while we're thinking about bees, Mayor Watt is thinking about the wired connections in ohmTown.
Hello? Okay.
There
we're
we
back.
go.
That was weird. Anyway, I need a battery pack that will actually make my stuff last longer. I guess. I don't know. Everything was charged too. Maybe it wasn't. Anyway, sorry about that, folks. We're going to leave it all in and we're not going to change a damn thing. Y'all have to suffer just like I did. So awkward.
Which type of bee do you think Mayor Watt is?
I'm one of those thick bees that, yeah. So this is a really neat article, and it's really motivated me to go. Maybe I can take the sentient AI out, and we can find a beekeeper and propose this, because there's no other way to do it. It's not like you can do this at home, find a nest. There isn't anything outside the mayoral mansion in terms of bees. There's wasps galore, and those little buggers can go to hell. I'm not going to play with them. They suck. All right. Last article for today is over on the Warcrafters channel. You should buy the authors. It's over at PC Gamer. Their favorite co-op survival game in 2024 from 2024 right now for $20 because the price goes up to $35. So this is Pacific Drive is what they're talking about, I guess. But only a razor thin margin because of the two words abiotic factor, I guess. So abiotic factor. So they had a tough time trying to figure out the game of the year for best survival game. So let's go and look at this thing. Abiotic Factor is getting a $10 price increase just before its 1.0 launch, but you can save $15 if you grab it now in April. Christopher Livingston over at PCGamer.com put this article together, and Abiotic Factor is this collaboration game. Anyway, I would probably push Pacific Drive, but it's basically what would happen if all those unfortunate science nerds Gordon Freeman left behind in the first Half-Life game starred in their own co-op survival adventure. You cobble together weapons and gear from space science parts, battle horrifying interdimensional monsters, and survive a massive secret scientific complex. But they say it's quite simply a great game. To quote Morgan, who fell in love the moment that he strapped a couch cushion to his chest and called it body armor. Quote, Abiotic Factor restored my faith in survival games. They don't really have any video on this article. There we go. It's down at the bottom.
Oh, right there, yeah.
Beneath the fold,
that's tied
so to
to
speak.
The pricing announcement.
Yeah, so it's a pricing announcement. I'm going to hit play, but it's muted already. And this is the inside of the game, but I don't think that it's like the actual play. They're going to raise the price. That's what your graphics look like. That's the kind of world that you have to survive in. You have to defeat the enemies, and it's kind of like Doom, but in space and different monsters, and you can cobble together stuff. So seems like it'd be fun. I never really got into it, but maybe for $15 off. Yeah.
Might be the time to get it for Summer of Stream.
Yeah. They take a little stab at Nintendo by saying, if you'd like all that information that I just gave you, but in an extremely enjoyable video format, please check out the Abiotic Factors pricing announcement below, which is embedded in the article, and you can just follow the link over there. It says, which will explain everything, including why the price is $34.99 and not $80. Quote, we're not Nintendo. Or even $40. Quote, the economy's sick. People have less money for games. And then they close with, then go buy Abiotic Factor if you haven't already. So
I don't know about the game, but they already have a sense of humor. So, yeah.
Yeah, I like their attitude, that's for sure. But that's it. So we are going to factor ourselves right back to we're going to get factored and bring us back to the front page of ohmtown.com, where you should go and become a citizen, sign up, sign in. Search is doing really good. Overall functionality of the site is probably better than it's ever been. So I hope you go over there and check it all out for yourself. But that's it for today. That's the end of the April 17th episode of Non Sequitur News. I'm out of here, and I'm taking the AI with me. I'm never going to get that right. I need to, I don't know, rethink the whole thing.
Rejigger everything.
That's right. We're out of here.
Good night,
Want to say
citizens.
Bye? I guess you do want to say bye.
Thanks for joining us for Non Sequitur News.
Man, I'm just stomping all over your line.
See you tomorrow.
Oh, you're still going. Jeez. And let me talk all over this too. Hold on. Oh, look, our exit music. Gonna talk all over that too. Can't stop me.